HP this week brought out an announcement, says that they were going to buy Juniper. Will, what are your thoughts?
I mean, this is like, a thought-provoking head scratcher, of an announcement, right? Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, to quote a line from one of my favorite movies, Ghostbusters. But yeah, this was a surprise. It started leaking on Monday. I just happened to be sitting on the couch and started just getting hit up by lots of people. The rumors around HPE possibly acquiring Juniper Networks. And sure enough, Pat, you and I were pre-briefed by Antonio and Rami, the CEO of Juniper Networks, prior to the more general analyst discussions on this subject. And, when I first sort of started hearing the rumors, it made me think, oh, okay, this gives HPE a stronger AI anchor. Certainly with Aruba's been focused on AI ops for quite some time, but, given the gold rush around artificial intelligence, this potentially gives HPE that anchor that they need. And something that I thought of that not many of my other, colleagues in the industry were speaking about were some of the potential synergies that Juniper could bring to HPE in reinvigorating HPE's telecom business. They've acquired Ethernet. They're making a clear run at service provider. They've had a business in place for quite some time. Dell has matured its offering. And so my thought is, could Juniper also be a defensive move? And as you recall, Pat, I asked Antonio this question on our call, and he did admit, yeah, we do believe that Juniper brings certain things like RAN intelligent controller and a service provider footprint that could be well leveraged by HPE. But at the end of the day, the overlap within the networking portfolios between Juniper and HPE Aruba networking, that's a head scratcher. That's going to require a lot of roadmap rationalization. There are going to be some products that are going to be sunsetted. And, at the end of the day, there was a discussion with Antonio about some re-engineering effort, leveraging the Mist engine, using that Mist engine in Green Lake and other places within the HPE portfolio. But let me mention this. In 2019, Juniper acquired Mist for just a little bit north of $400 million. This transaction is valued at $14 billion and brings with it a lot of debt. So, I mean, hey, listen, there's some pros and cons here, but it's a head scratcher.
Yeah, HPE had some strategic directions it could have gone and invested, right? It decided to invest in networking, and the AI, it looks like with Mist, is a big part of that. And then the other strategic decision could have been to invest more in compute, right? Maybe buy a Grok, possibly, who, HPE and Grok are both in three-letter acronym U.S. agencies. And, another one could have been to make a major investment in VAST on the storage side. So, and what they did is they chose something that had given them amazing return before, which was when they bought Aruba.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the growth of HPE in the last 3 quarters, it's all Aruba.
It
right?
is. Yeah.
50% edge growth in networking. So you might be there like, we know how to buy a company to do networking and make a lot of money on it and become more relevant with customers. I mean, the 800-pound gorilla across every one of these environments in networking, whether it is data center core, leaf, spine, on the edge, in the carriers, is Cisco, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has upwards of, is it 40-50% share across that? I don't know this for certain.
Pretty close, yeah.
So the question is, can you put up enough technology to become relevant where you're starting to displace some Cisco business at a bigger clip? I mean, the core switch, I think 95% market share in the West is Cisco, right? How do you touch that? I don't think there was anything bought that can touch that. I do see Mist for AI management, cross cloud, cross network, I see the possibility there.
Yeah.
I also see, and this was floated as well, which is all the networking that goes between AI clusters, right? You've got a battle right now between low latency Ethernet and with very expensive technologies that do this today. Even NVIDIA is trying to go in and own this spot. And by the way, NVIDIA, well, a company like Marvell sells to other people like Juniper, so I could see some connectivity there. I would say the only head scratcher for me is really understanding what is incremental versus what's overlap. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I went in thinking this was pure incremental. That was my very first hot take. And then the call, it was like, no, we do some things that are the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Aruba Central or Mist, things like that. How's that going to go over with regulators? I mean, maybe it's so small as a concentration that it doesn't matter compared to Cisco, but also if you have overlap, is it worth the money? I mean, above my pay grade in terms of valuation, I'll let other people do that. On the financials, I do like that in day one, it's profitable.
Accretive. Yeah, it's accretive, right? And then Antonio spoke to 450 million in synergies over a 3-year period after the close. And I will mention, I mean, the scale of Juniper brings a top line revenue of about 5 billion. And you could peg Aruba. They don't just discreetly break it out, but Aruba's probably sitting at about 4 billion. So it makes it a $9 billion combined enterprise top line revenue. I mean, compare that to Cisco, right? So this deal, I'm not going to prognosticate whether it gets approved or not. It likely gets approved, but Pat, to your point, rationalizing those roadmaps among the enterprise, networking portfolio is going to be the biggest challenge. And I mean, you and I are former Compaq employees. I was actually at Compaq when HPE acquired Compaq. That was like 22 years ago. I'm hoping things have changed, but that integration didn't go as smoothly as it should have. And I can say that because I actually lived through it. But, acquisitions of this size are pretty difficult to consume.
Good stuff, folks.
Pat, I want to echo something you kind of hit on indirectly, and that is I struggled a little bit with kind of understanding what HPE's strategic intent is. To what you said, they could have taken a number of directions, and they went down this networking path. I would have thought if they had some money they wanted to spend, they would have gone down the more kind of maybe where I think there's maybe richer opportunity, and that is down the compute side. Richer is maybe not the right word, but I see some of the either Avast or even like a Nutanix where you kind of expand your true cloud capabilities. I mean, true, like on-prem to off-prem across cloud capabilities. I really kind of would have thought they would have gone down this path. I worked for a company that Juniper acquired some time ago. And I've heard nothing but great things about the Juniper organization. So it's nothing against the company or their technology. I just, given where they've gone with GreenLake, I would have expected them to kind of index a little bit more on things I thought would have had more immediate impact on kind of, pushing or driving GreenLake business. But
the interesting thing is Mist as a service is all going to be GreenLake, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. It's not increasing like the compute or storage inside of GreenLake, but HPE has rolled in networking as a service in there already.
Yeah.
And I think what this does is, adds the Mist layer to it. But again, great analysis, folks. There's always puts and takes in these things. And this one is not crystal clear, right? They all aren't crystal clear, which, by the way, if it were always crystal clear, they wouldn't need analysts.
That's right.
And I'll just add, Pat, that I published a research note this week. I was one of the first analysts on the planet to do that. So if our viewers are interested, that's posted to the More Insights and Strategy website.